So I've just got a few things to get through. So just in terms of some of these questions will be quick ones. Board appointments for Housing Australia and other Treasury portfolio agencies, do you deal with those things?
The appointments team sits in the corporate part of the department, and they appeared earlier this morning.
Hilarious, great.
I think you did have a conversation with Deputy Secretary DeMarco where she indicated that appointments team manages the process, but the policy area kind of manages the identification of the capabilities that you're looking for, will help with determining interviews and providing ultimate advice.
Okay, so I can't ask you about that. Do you do briefing? You don't do briefings either for appointments? That's all done by the corporate team?
No, the briefing comes from the policy area.
Which is not you?
Well, it depends on the portfolio body. So I would do briefings on appointments to the ATO, for example, because the ATO sits within...
But not housing?
But not housing.
All right, let's tick that one off. What about like governance exercises, commissioning of independent reports and the like?
Then again, there's a governance team that sits in corporate, so it's part of the corporate group.
Okay, so
they may at times get advice from the
Deloitte
legal
report,
division.
for example, into Housing Australia, does that touch your department?
No, those questions will be better directed towards Housing Australia, to Housing Division.
What about orders for production of documents?
The orders production document, again, similar to the FOI process.
Who deals with that?
The relevant policy area, I suppose, has ultimate responsibility for the orders to produce documents. They would collect the documents, review them and provide advice to government. But as part of that, they might consult with the Law Division around whether there are public interest immunity claims that may be appropriate.
Okay, so the legal, I mean, they are legal orders. So you might provide advice on, as you say, PII claims.
Yes.
What about redactions? So let's go back to our non-hypothetical perhaps, about the FOIs. So in the case of redactions made to FOIs, the policy owner consults with legal, they get advice. The decision making, as in accordance with the Act, makes a judgment about whether something is redacted, covered up. But in the case of an OPD, is it the similar process?
Well, OPDs are to the ministers, so the minister is the decision maker, but they will seek our support in finding documents and seek our advice and support on any relevant claims that may be appropriate.
Okay, so, I mean, so in the case of...
I've just called, sorry, Mr...
yeah, welcome back. He likes these questions. So in the case of an OPD which is seeking a report, the government has commissioned, like the Housing Australia review, the intersection review, which we've discussed at length, prior estimates. So in that case, like the front cover, like one of the names of the report's been redacted. I mean, so it's a 4-word report, Housing Australia something review. That's obviously a top secret, state secret. So who would decide, in the case of this OPD, to redact one of the titles of the report?
Well, Senator, I mean, a redaction is simply, for an OPD, a redaction is simply a reaction to a public interest immunity claim. So if material would support a public interest immunity claim, that material can be redacted. As the guidance indicates, PII claims are for ministers, and as Ms Brown explained, we provide advice to ministers about whether claims might be available.
So legal provides advice. So in this case, this is a letter from, I mean, this is actually from Minister Ayres representing the Housing Minister. The Housing Minister has written to Minister Ayres saying that here's the OPD, here's the document, but we've redacted stuff, right? We've redacted stuff. I'm not sure they have. I mean, they don't have to. Do they have to file a PIO claim to redact, or can they just? I mean, what are the rules that apply here to OPDs and redactions?
They're really orders of the Senate, and so the Senate is more familiar with the rules than...
Okay, so I guess the question is, who decides to redact stuff?
So, Senator, every OPD will be responded to with a letter from the relevant portfolio minister, and that letter's attached. If the minister sits in the House of Representatives, that letter will be attached to a letter from the senator representing the minister who tables those letters in the Senate, and those letters will explain, if there's a public interest immunity claim, the basis for the claim.
Okay, I'm just going to table this document because I want to ask you whether you had any involvement with it or whether Treasury Legal had any involvement with it. So do you want to wait till you see the document?
I'm aware of the document.
Oh, you know which one it is? Okay, fine. Well, I don't want to be unfair. So the document is a report done into Housing Australia. Certain redactions are done. Did the Treasury Department advise to make those redactions? Treasury Legal, to be clear?
Well, we provide advice on orders for production. We provide advice on orders for production.
And you did this one?
We provided advice in relation to this.
So I completely understand, in this case, given the contents, why there are redactions. I understand why there are significant redactions. I don't understand why the title of the document has a redaction. Could you please explain why?
Senator, I think part of the problem here is a problem of your own making and the approach that you and some of your colleagues have taken to orders for the production of documents, questions on notice and other kind of applications like this. I mean, the Senate has decided to do an average of 4.6 of these every sitting day. Like, there is an industrial volume of these kind of applications. That's 4 times what happened over the last year of the coalition government. On one day, the Senate agreed to 14 OPDs in a single day. One of them required the return of over 130,000 pages of documents. Some of them clearly are generated with artificial intelligence. We ask questions like, which floor is the Secretary's office on compared to that of the Prime Minister when the Prime Minister is working in that city? Like, what kind of fevered mind generates that kind of thing when the... You know, and you're now asking questions about industrial scale questions on notice as the Liberal Party's falling down around your ears in the corridors
Chair,
outside.
I think this political speech, while very interesting...
We have just discovered
Chair, I think
what it is that the blokes who are backing Mr Taylor's attempt to knock off the first Liberal leader, the first woman leader of the Liberal Party, think is a decent interval between the departure of the Israeli president and this sordid effort. It's 3 hours.
Thank
3
you.
hours.
Okay.
Chair, I don't think this is relevant.
Honestly, it's utterly, hopelessly partisan, utterly, hopelessly industrial scale questions on notice. You can continue to persist in asking these questions, but you ought to take some responsibility for your conduct and conduct of some of the other senators who are beleaguering these people with requests for 130,000 pages.
We've got a lot of material to get through. This is not helping.
Utterly unreasonable.
I think we've got your point there, Senator Ayres.
Thanks for that political speech. So, I get that the government doesn't like to answer questions. I understand that. This is not anything to do with industrial scale process.
But it's industrial scale.
This is about the name of a document being redacted. Why is the name of the document?
Hang on, one at a time.
My question...
I think
the Minister's made his point, and then now he's interrupting a question after only a couple of words. So maybe just turn the temperature down and get back to questions.
It's a very simple question.
thank you for that advice, Senator Canavan, turning the temperature down. I'll remember that later.
So the question is, the document's title has been redacted. I understand, and I can appreciate the sensitivity as to why certain things inside the document have been redacted. I don't understand why the title has been redacted, so I'm asking you, why would the Treasury advise to remove the title of the document?
Senator, public interest immunity claims are for ministers. That's the advice we provide. We provide the office advice, and that's the key thing that we tell ministers, that the long-standing Senate convention in the Westminster system reflects that ministers can make public interest immunity claims. That claim wasn't made by me, wasn't made by any official in the department, but we provide advice about how we understand the doctrine of public interest immunity operates to ministers.
So the redaction was made by Minister O'Neill's office?
Public interest immunity claims are made by ministers, Senator.
We'll ask the minister then.
That's the way the system works.
So why did the government cover up the title of the document?
One of your colleagues, backbench colleague, who was sitting right next to you, has asked 35,000 of these questions. Like, you ought to grow up, the Liberal Party ought to grow up and start acting like an opposition that's actually interested in asking questions.
Why did you cover up the document?
Rather than generating this industrial scale load of utter nonsense.
When do your commitment to transparency?
I think
I don't know what the basis for that was.
You don't know? I'll take
it on notice.
Okay.
But you can't expect an answer if your colleagues are asking thousands and thousands of questions on notice. Like, that is ridiculous. It's juvenile. It's not grown up.
Okay, thank you. Can I move on to RG97? Who can answer questions about that?
So that sits in Revenue Group, Senator, and it sits in Retirement and Income Superannuation Division.
We're on Revenue Group.
Yes, and so Mr McKenna is coming up.
Okay, thank you, Mr Herzog. Sorry about all that.
You're at 12 minutes. If you could
No, I'll go as fast as I can.
As you can, that would be much
Certainly.
appreciated.